talk with a lot of students, and the high school students, and one thing that they continually say is, can you please help our parents understand?
We talk a lot about stigma. It's a word that we use a lot related to mental health. But I want to challenge you to really see it as what it really is, which is shame. Shame says there's something wrong with me. As a parent, I very much thought that I had failed as a parent.
Powerful conversation last night at our Save Our Students event in Round Rock. We looked at safety and wellness solutions across Central Texas and really beyond. We've done more than 30 stories over the past 10 days on this topic. One thing we heard a lot is the focus can't just be on students and teachers, right? It also has to be about educating us, parents. And this morning, we are joined by Dr. Bruce Gearing of Leander ISD, newly hired superintendent at Leander ISD, coming from not too far away from Dripping Springs. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Congratulations on your new job.
Thank you very much.
I know you don't officially start till next week, but let's start this conversation with what you learned at Dripping Springs ISD when it comes to mental health and educating parents about it, and what you may want to bring to Leander ISD.
Thank you. Yes, in Dripping Springs, we realized very quickly that mental health for our students particularly is absolutely a need and an issue that we have to address and have to take seriously. Sometimes people think that in highly affluent school districts that the kids are fine and everything's going to be okay. Right. But they're under a lot of stress for a lot of different reasons, and so we really take that seriously. We put together a mental health task force of concerned internal stakeholders, and we've just started now expanding that to include some external stakeholders to really address this problem head on. We've been very fortunate to be able to partner with lots of other entities in our community. Some of the faith-based entities in our community have joined us in this because it really is a community-wide problem. It's not just our students, but it's also their parents and their families. And we have to really address those issues very carefully.
Do you find that sometimes it's hard to address those issues when you have some parents who maybe might not be as involved with this as other parents? How do you make sure that you get them to listen when they have so many things that they're juggling, working parents, other kids, etc.?
What we've realized is that parents really are giving us their most precious resource, and they may not have the ability to deal with some of the challenges that they face as families. But when you really put it to them in terms of we can help and we can serve your student and help you as a family to do things better, then generally we find that they are receptive.
Right, let them know that this is a community behind you. You're not in it by yourself.
Absolutely.
That matters. Leander ISD, Dripping Springs ISD, what were some of the challenges that you thought, I need to tackle first at Leander ISD when you were interviewing for this job?
Well, growth, of course, is absolutely forefront on our minds, and so that's going to be a significant challenge. For me, there's a leap from being a 7,000 school district, student school district superintendent to being a 42,000 student superintendent, and so that's going to be a learning curve for me. I'm very excited about the opportunities that are ahead. Leander ISD is a fantastic school district, a very high-performing school district, and we intend to take that to the next level.
And we have a little bit of breaking news, too, that I just learned not too long ago, that you are a finalist for one of the top 5 superintendents of the year here in Texas. That has to be a good feeling.
It is, but there's an incredible number of really talented school administrators in the state of Texas who are doing a phenomenal job of serving the 5.4 million students that come to us every day.
Wow. When you hear about our conversation of saving our students, are there things that you want to incorporate at Leander ISD to make sure you get the conversation to continue there?
Absolutely. I think there's a huge connection between the social emotional learning of all of our children with the crisis intervention that we have to do in certain cases. And so we have to make sure that that continuum of services exists from the base of everyday classrooms and teachers that are interacting with all our kids every day, all the way up to those really severe crises where we have to get outside professional help. Okay,
well, we appreciate you being here. Best of luck on the first day of school for you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Gearing.
This is a digital exclusive as part of our Save Our Students series. I'm here with Dr. Bruce Gearing, Superintendent of Schools for Leander ISD. I'm Alyssa Goard. Dr. Gearing, we got some questions from folks at home for you. First of all, some parents wanted to know what Leander ISD can do to make things like bullying prevention and suicide prevention priorities in the district.
I think this is really a multi-layered problem that we have to, number one, acknowledge exists. And once we have acknowledged that it exists, we have to work really hard to break down the stigma that's attached to it so that students in particular will reach out for help when they need it. That's one of the most important things, is that we know that it exists and that we understand where the problems are. But multi-layered in terms of the really groundswell of this has to happen every day in every classroom across the whole district for every student. And that encompasses social emotional learning skills for our kids that have to be instilled in them from pre-kindergarten all the way up through 12th grade. And it has to happen en masse for all of our students in all of their classrooms.
Dr. Goering, tell me about some of the resources that Leander ISD has contributed towards addressing mental health issues in the district recently.
The board in Leander ISD has been very proactive in this realm, and in fact, recently they've added 6 counselors to the district whose sole purpose is to help address the student ratio of counselor to student to make sure that the mental health needs of our students are being met.
Part of the clip from our conversation last night that we played at the top of the broadcast this morning mentioned that there's an element of stigma that's also shame, that parents might feel ashamed that a student is dealing with mental health issues, that a student might feel ashamed to ask for help. How do we try and erase some of that shame for students and for their families?
I really think it comes down to helping students to build agency in themselves and then helping families on top of students. So if a student's in a poor family situation or in a crisis from trauma or something else like that that is outside of our circle of influence, we have to at least understand that and be able to address that. My goal is to be able to not only address the students' mental health issues, but also address the circumstances that have perhaps led to that circumstance. And so we want to make sure that we're addressing the community as a whole, but relationships are the most important things. When we really know our students and understand who they are, and we know a little bit about their personal lives, and we understand what their struggles are, we're in a much better position to help them over time. What I've realized is that parents are sending their most precious resource that they have to us, and they may have difficult circumstances that they are having challenges dealing with, but when we have those conversations very frankly and honestly about this is where we're at and this is what we can do to help in your situation, we find that most people are open to receiving that help.
Another question that one of our viewers wanted to ask you was, what role do you see teachers playing in addressing and supporting students' mental health?
Well, teachers are, of course, at the grassroots. They're where the rubber meets the road, essentially, because they're the ones that are interacting directly with those students on a daily basis. The relationships that they build with those students are life-changing in either a negative or a positive way. Our goal is to make sure that they are changing those lives in a very positive way by their actions, by who they are, by the interactions that they have with their students on a daily basis. And so that has to become our culture as a district, is that we care very deeply about every single student, no matter what their circumstance, no matter what their challenge, no matter what their success. And we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that that student is being prepared for their future and knows and understands their worth in our school district.
Is there anything else that you want folks at home to know or to hear when it relates to these topics of mental health and wellness in your district?
Absolutely. I just need everybody to know that we all have our struggles. We're all human beings, and that our job as public school is to address the very real human condition that we exist in. And we take that responsibility extremely seriously. But it truly takes a village to raise a child, and we cannot do that on our own. And so we have to partner with students, with their parents, and then with the community as a whole in order to raise these human beings into the successful future of our nation.
Dr. Bruce Goering, thank you so much for your time and for being here today.
Thank you for having me.